of a superior man, and we're doing chapter 1 explained. So the chapter goes, stop hoping for a completion of anything in life. Most men make the error of thinking that one day it will be done. They think if I can work enough, then one day I can rest, or one day my woman will understand something and then she will stop complaining. Or I'm only doing this now so that one day I can do what I really want with my life. The masculine error is to think that eventually things will be different in some fundamental way. It won't. It never ends as long as life continues. The creative challenge is a tussle to play and make love with the present moment while giving your unique gift. Okay, so Data goes on to really explain how the dynamic goes. In a lot of guys' heads, they are stuck with the concept of if I make it to this point, I will be satisfied. If I accomplish this, I'll be satisfied. If I get to this point, I will feel differently and fundamentally feel better. If I make enough money, my wife will stop complaining. Concepts like this, right? They it's an idea that if you make it to a certain threshold, your problems go away. You have a certain amount of money, your problems go away. They just think that life just ends up not giving you nuance, right? But of course, making money and being at a higher threshold always makes these issues and problems easier to deal with, easier to manage, easier to stress manage with, right? Nevertheless, it's this ideology Data wants us to get at is stop thinking that there's a completionary point. And that's what a lot of men get stuck in, this completionary mindset that there has to be some end goal, some end finish line type of ordeal, right? He also goes on to say, do what you love to do, what you are waiting to do, what you've been born to do now. Spend at least 1 hour doing what you simply love to do, what you deeply feel you need to do in your heart, in spite of daily duties that seem to constrain you. However, be fair warned. You may discover that you don't or can't do it. That in fact your fantasy of the future life is simply a fantasy. Very beautiful quote, right? So let's just break that down real quick. He's saying if you have these fantasies of something else, your desires for different hobbies, your desires for different goals, your desires for different perceptions of life, and he's saying if you aren't openly attacking it when you have the free time to do this and attack it with your full creative force, it's a fantasy. You're living in a fantasy and you're creating your own propaganda in your own head, because if it truly was a thought and you wanted to make it to fruition, you would take the actions necessary to get to that. What if you were like, okay, well, today I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. I'm going to make the initiative to start learning how to play the guitar. Google what strings I should learn, what type of guitars are there, etc., etc. If you want to, and if it's especially something you deeply love, this is what Data's trying to get at. If you love something, you're going to do it, right? And if you don't, it's simply a fantasy, and it's something you're just backpedaling in your head to just really just depolarize what's going on and stop you from thinking that you need a completion. Really what you need is to feel content with your story, feel content with growth, feel content with losing, feel content with making mistakes and learning from the struggle from that. That is what Data's trying to get at. He goes on to say, in addition to the myth that one day your life will be fundamentally different, you may believe and hope that one day your woman will be fundamentally different. Don't wait. Assume she's going to be however she is forever. If your woman's behavior or mood is truly intolerable, you should leave her and don't look back, since you cannot change her. However, if you find her behavior or mood is merely distasteful or a hassle, realize that she will always be this way. The feminine always seems chaotic and complicated from the perspective of the masculine. So he entails a lot of key components and and ideologies, he ties all these into one. He talks about how polarization works between the masculine and the feminine. This is very important, right? Because a lot of men think that they could just solve their issues, or the feminine. So what he's trying to get at is, okay, in a masculine sense, obviously they would see the feminine in a different light. They wouldn't see it in the same regions, because in the feminine's eyes, it is an idea of to be loved, right? And it's an idea of the way you feel. It's the way how I want you. When they speak, right, they speak in ways to make you entail how they feel, right? So the words and things is to create feeling. That is the trinity of the feminine, right? With the masculine, it's as least words possible to get to the solution as possible, right? That's why the masculine is always solution hunting. And that's why he's trying to reiterate that this completion mindset, this solution thing, there is no end solution. The solution is to be blissful in the moment and to love through whatever is going on. Is to love through the nuance. If you feel like it's overbearing, you just gotta be happy through it and just understand it's beautiful, right? Think of the feminine like a tsunami. If you're inside the tsunami, you're probably going to get destroyed by it, right? But if you're riding with the tsunami, it is a beautiful experience. At the top of it, you're riding with the tsunami. It's a beautiful experience. You have to learn to ride with the tsunami. You have to learn how to allow the feminine to feel safe within your leadership, right? And feel able to act in the freedom of the feminine, right? That's what it is, the freedom of it. Even if we're socially engineered and indoctrinated to think elsewise, the feminine wants to be free as well. Even if the masculine is on this hiatus search for freedom, the feminine wants freedom just as much. So Data also goes to say, practice love instead of trying to bring the end of the quality that bothers you, right? You can't escape the tussle with the feminine. Learn to find humor and in the unending emotional drama the feminine seems to enjoy so much. The love that you magnify may realign her behavior, but your effort to fix her and your frustration never will. Guys, he gives you the answer here. If you really think about it, you could use reverse psychology in this instance, right? Learn to find humor in the unending emotional drama the feminine seems to enjoy. The love that you magnify may realign the feminine. Right, guys? If you are expressing that this does not bother you and you are just still loving in nature regardless of what's going on, they are going to just align. They're not going to do that behavior again because you proved it does not bother you. And if you could prove it doesn't bother you, it reiterates the idea that they can be free in your presence, right? And that's truly what Data is trying to get at. They want to be free in your presence, and if they feel free in your presence, they can be submissive, and then you could feel that masculine leadership over them, right? So he also says the world and your woman will also present you with unforeseen challenges. You either living fully, giving your gift in the midst of the challenges, even today, or you are waiting for an imaginary future will never come. Every moment is wasted. Every moment wasted is a moment wasted, and each wasted moment degrades your clarity of purpose. He goes to say basically that every moment you have a chance to express your love, amidst of everything going on, amidst of all the world problems, amidst of every nuance that's going on and everything, you have to still give your gifts onto the world. That's the end goal of this, and stop looking for the solution, because there is no solution. The solution is to be blissful with what you are and to be happy with who you are. But not to be complacent. I'm not saying to be complacent either. But to be content and blissful in nature.